Lords of the Fallen. Bro, what the
Please
Lords of the Fallen is yet another take on the genre that has by now become more than famous for its challenging gameplay loops mixed in with some rather freaking epic music as well as boss fights, and also stories so confusing that you only realize what's going on when people like VatiVidya and Flextralife release videos with explanations to them. By now, Lords of the Fallen has changed names more times than I change my opinion on Manchester United. Nevertheless, this is in fact a prequel of sorts to the original Lords of the Fallen. There was literally no other game at the time to play on the PlayStation 4, and I had spent a ton of cash on the system, so I had to buy something and play it. Hindsight wasn't the best idea. It was not a good game. Looked cool, that's not a good game. Now, these two games have almost nothing in common apart from sharing the same world as well as the name, but does it do enough to cement its place in the Souls-like genre, or is it at least better than the original one, which doesn't really take much? Bro, how the frig should I know? These are my opening 10 to 15 hours with the game, what the frig it actually is, as well as if it's worth anyone's time in my humble opinion. I do plan on making a full retrospective review on the game once I've finished it, as well as let it sit with me for a while and kind of marinate. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel as well as like the video, of course, to be notified on when I actually post the retrospective rant in due time. Also, the button down below is free. So yeah, let's get on with the video. Anyway, the premise of the story is as follows. It's basically Prison Break, but instead of Michael Scofield's, you get the evil god Adir, who was banished to an evil place called the Umbral realm. And over a long period of time, and we're talking like hundreds of years, he has accumulated power and orchestrated the great escape with the help of some demons as well as his worshippers. Now, for the people who know anything about this world, this is in fact the same Adir as in the original game. In that one, he was dead. In this one, he seems to be doing perfectly fine as of now. You, as the latest Dark Crusader, stand in his way. You come from a long line of Crusaders and Umbral lamp holders. Now, Umbral lamp holders are chosen by fate and work similarly to how the avatars work in The Last Airbender, whereas once the previous one dies and goes on to the nether worlds, whatever they call it, the new one is chosen by fate, and it works similarly in this one. You start the same way as any Souls-like, really, with choosing your class and learning the basic mechanics of combat as well as traversal and how the actual Umbral realm works. The lamp you acquire early on gives you the ability to see into as well as travel to the Umbral realm. Also very difficult to say Umbral realm. Umbral realm. There are some really cool mechanics with regards to this lamp. It is kind of the focal point of this game. Now, after you learn the basics of combat and in typical Souls-like fashion, fight a boss that is pretty much unbeatable, you embark on this greater journey to get stronger, figure out what is happening around you, as well as possibly even stop the great god Adir. Other than that, bro, I could not tell you the rest of the story even if they paid me to. There's a lot of lore, a lot of people talking, and a lot of just mumbo jumbo, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's people who know way more about the story than me, so I do highly recommend you watch those videos if you want to know anything about the actual backstory of the game. Also, consider subscribing to this channel. Every time I ask you to subscribe, I speak with a southern accent for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video so far, please do consider subscribing as well as liking the video. And as equivalent exchange works in general, I gift you mediocre humor at the very best for the vibes. It's free and it's a shiny red button down below. Now, gameplay is like the Souls-like bread and butter with blocking, dodging, and outputting a mixture of light and heavy attacks with the addition of ranged attacks via bows, throwing axes, and pretty much anything you can really heave at the enemy's direction. There's also magic, of course, in the form of fire as well as holy. Also, there's hints of other kinds of magic in the game, which hopefully there is because it looks quite cool. You have a shield as well that you use to block damage, but this doesn't really block all damage, so you can't just turtle up. Stamina management, weight management, and all the fun stuff that makes Souls-like games so fun, in my opinion, can all be found here as well. Enemies come in different shapes and sizes as per usual. Of course, the bigger the enemy, enemy, the harder they hit and the more souls you get from them, or whatever the equivalent of souls is in this game. From my initial experience with the combat, wildly swinging does you absolutely zero favors, bro. In games like Lies of P or Pi, or however you say that, the system is a bit more forgiving and enemies don't hit super hard, so swinging until fatigue is more accepted in that game than it is in Lords of the Fallen, if that makes any sense. This game has literally zero forgivings to be forgiven, my broski. The combat in this is quite brutal so far. Also, on a side note, I did make a WTF is preview of Lies of P or Pi, or however you say that game. I still don't know. So cue that up to watch it after this one if you're at all interested, because it's a doozy. I know I had to plug that in somewhere in here, so there you go. Now, I don't know if it's just the early parts of the game, but the amount of time basic mobs have you knocking on umbral's doors really is noticeable. The spiky helmet dudes especially are the absolute worst. You also get given 3 health potions to start with, so it's not like you can heal yourself up all willy-nilly either. You have to use them sparingly because resting points are very few and far between. Thankfully, there's this health regain mechanic after being hit that does help you in not dying all the time. But overall, it's a challenging game, and the game has absolutely zero issues with letting you know that it's a challenging game. And herein lies maybe a slight niggle that I've had, at least so far with the game. And also, it kind of tends to happen in these types of games in general. Sometimes games have this problem where difficulty just means more enemies on screen instead of having you fight one very challenging mob. And in this game, it's kind of noticeable, at least at the early hours. I don't know if it gets any better or worse, but we'll see in due time, I guess. Now, speaking of challenging, bro, the first boss in the game, ooh-wee, my goodness gracious, Pita Bread aka Pieta, the Holy Night Woman. She's the first major boss in the game, and holy shit is she tough. Now, here the fact that you only have 3 health potions to use really shines, and even though you can summon a barbarian crazy man to help you with the fight, bro, she was tough. Now, once you've bested Pita Falafel, you make your way to the sanctuary, and this kind of will work as your hub of sorts. You can use it to buy items as well as upgrade weapons, health potions, and from here the game really starts to open up and you make your way forward and find some really nice areas to explore. Now, the recurring thing so far in this game by far has been the beauty and the scenery. It makes me want to stop and pose for screenshots every like 500 meters as the game just looks super nice. It runs relatively well too. There are some frame rate issues here and there, but nothing unplayable that I've noticed so far. No big bugs either. But at least so far, and I'll be very honest, cheesing bosses has been a tactic to use. I'll be very honest with that. I'm not even gonna lie. The backdrop of red beams and the environment overall just bring out the vibe of this game, and it's all really awesome. The Umbral realm as well just looks super freaky too. It looks creepy and gooey in all the right places, if that makes any sense. It's similar to how the Prometheus movies or older Alien movies looked in terms of just alien stuff scattered around the world. The creepiness is constant in the Umbral, especially when you look around with your lamp and see the Umbral mobs attack you out of nowhere, and if their attack manages to connect, bro, in every sense of the word, they will just pull you into the Umbral realm, and it's awesome. It's a really cool, nice detail that I've seen, and it's all just super anxiety inducing, and I love it. So overall, the gameplay is very challenging so far, both in a good way and in a bit more tedious way. It'll be very interesting to see how the challenge of the game evolves, especially once you get used to the mechanics a bit more and get better gear, of course, as well as level up towards the class you want to play. But is the game worth it to play at this very moment in time for you? Bro, how the fuck should I know? I was only here to tell you my initial experience with the game. You can do whatever the fuck you want. That pretty much wraps it up for this video for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to click that like button down below, as well as subscribe to the channel, again with the southern accent. If you like this game, please do drop a comment down below. If you didn't like it as well, drop the comment down below, chico. I really do want to start a conversation with anyone interested in conversing with me about this game or gaming in general, because Souls-like games are really cool. This seems to be no different. It's very interesting to see how this game evolves over time and if it actually becomes better or worse, because some games start off really well and then just go downhill from there pretty much. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you have a great day wherever you're from, whichever time of day you watch this at. Catch you guys in the next upload. Hasta pronto.